where we were not able to do well, and then we were able to identify the weak points in the chain. We didn't stop at that. We invited assistant electoral officers too. They came, and it was, a free discussion. In fact, the Honorable Chairman told them, or assured them, that they had diplomatic immunity. So they were at liberty to say what they felt needed to be done to improve the process. Thereafter, the Commission hosted its administrative secretaries and resident electoral commissioners to a workshop in Uyo, Akwa Ibom. And the same process, was repeated. We were able to hear from the resident electoral commissioners, the administrative secretaries, what challenges they had, areas of strength, areas that needed improvements. And we didn't stop at that. We placed a committee, an independent committee. After looking at it from our own point of view as a commission, we placed an independent committee, a committee that looked at voter registration and the election process. And they were able to take a dispassionate look at what we did during the election process, during the voter registration process, and they told us in very uncertain terms where there were weaknesses, where we needed to improve, where we did so very well. And taking off from that, we've been working around the clock to make sure that where the weaknesses were identified, we will correct them, and by the time we get to 2015, we should be able to give Nigerians free and fair elections that had in the past eluded them.
Okay, now let's take a quick look now. What are the issues that INEC has identified as the issues that must be dealt with between now and 2015 to prepare us for the next election? What are those issues?
We are in the process of trying to make sure that the cards that were generated after the voter registration exercise are issued to the registrants. In other words, the Commission has so far gotten 40 million permanent voter cards. These cards are chip-based for ease of identification of any voter who comes forward to vote during elections. It is a safeguard against rigging. The Commission is also planning to do a continuous voter registration to update its database of registrants. That will take off very soon. For quite some time now, we have not been able to delimit constituencies. It is one big project that the Commission intends to do and conclude it timely enough before we go to the year 2015. So these are the things we are trying to do. And the Commission is also going to deploy card readers during the 2015 general elections. These card readers would make it possible for us to quickly know who the legitimate owner of a card is. So we are trying to plug all the loopholes that in the past enabled people to rig at elections. So we hope that if we're able to put all these things in place, it will be possible for us to have 100% outing in terms of credibility, transparency, and fairness of elections come the year 2015.
Okay, just to lay all the cards on the table, in terms of the appeal of INEC to the National Assembly with regards changes to Section 152 and a number of other subsections within the Constitution, what is the agenda of INEC on this?
What?
I said that in terms of laying the cards on the table, we're looking at also all of the reforms, especially relating to the issue of changes to the Constitution. I think it's Section 152, I should correct myself, or 158. Section 158 of the Electoral, of what is in the Constitution, Section 158 of the Constitution, and then Section 76 INEC is looking for some changes to what obtains in those sections within the Constitution. And I would like you to explain to us what are the bases for the request for these changes being put before the National Assembly.
Well, unless you are specific as to the changes we are talking about. Otherwise, we have had a broad range of changes that we have requested the National Assembly to look into. So if you are specific, it would be a lot easier for me to say something.
Okay, well, what I have in front of me says that Section 158 of the Constitution deals with the operational independence of INEC, and INEC has gone before the National Assembly saying that it wants its operational independence to be guaranteed. And what does that mean for you in terms of the control of INEC and its independence? What does that mean for you, and what is it you're praying that the National Assembly should do? That's one. And then in Section 76, Section 116, Section 132, and others, the Commission proposes the deletion of the words in accordance to the Electoral Act, thus returning the Constitution to its pre-amendment state since the Constitution is grown numb. So if you're saying delete in accordance to the Electoral Act, and you expect that the Constitution is what takes precedence over whatever other legislation or any act
to delete what? I'm not hearing you well.
Okay, let's take it one by one. Let's take it one by one. Let's start with the Section 158. In terms of your independence, what is it you're praying the National Assembly to do regarding the independence of INEC?
Well, if you look at the other commissions listed out in that section of the Constitution, like the Judicial Service Commission or something like that, and the National Populations Commission, I think what we're saying is that we want to have the kind of independence the Judicial Service Commission has, to put it in very simple terms. And as for financial independence, we have it. We have the financial independence. We don't have any problem with that. We get our finances as soon as they are appropriated by the National Assembly. We get them at when due. We don't have any problem with that.
Okay, so in terms of the management control, would you then, how do you expect that if the changes were to be done in terms of the control and independence of INEC, does that mean, what does that mean for you in terms of the appointment of the chairperson of INEC, in terms of their terms and tenure? What does that mean for you? What would you be expecting to see?
Let us not put the cart before the horse. Until the changes come, it would be inappropriate for us to start talking about what to do.
No, I'm asking because we want to know what you're asking for.
No, you cannot know at this point, because it is not quite proper for us to start talking about that which is yet giving birth to.
But what you're doing is you're going to the National Assembly. You must have an agenda. You must have something you're asking the National Assembly to do. Of course, but it is not for us to just telling you what our agenda is. We have made some submission to the National Assembly. We have to wait until they respond. We wouldn't start talking when they are here to respond to our Nigerians must not know what is put before the Assembly. Is that what you're implying?
Nigerians have representatives at the National Assembly. And whatever goes there is for the benefit of the people of Nigeria. The people at the National Assembly are their representatives. So if we communicate with them, we assume that we are communicating to all Nigerians.
Okay, I will not dwell on that too much. Now let's look at the issue of the delimiting of the constituencies. What do you want to achieve? How do you expect that to work if changes were made and give the authority to INEC? Delimiting, changing the limits of the constituencies within the country. You mentioned that earlier as one of the things that you hope that you will have the power to do.
Yes.
Now, if that is done, how will that influence your ability to carry out election properly?
Well, if you look at the limitation of electoral districts, The standard internationally is to ensure that